Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. This is Mystic Games, your expert gamer, coming at you with an Against the Storm kind of a tutorial video. We're going to talk about the main window here. I have to make it smaller because if I put it full screen, you guys cannot see the bottom, how my connection is set up for my video stream. So that's why it is minimized. You guys can see all my little icons and stuff. That being said, let's kind of jump into it. So where we're going to start is we're going to start in the upper left, and we're going to work our way across, then go to the bottom left, and then go across again. And then I'll go over the map, like the actual map itself in the center and all around. So the first thing I do whenever I load in is I look at my two species that I have, and I click on the little arrow. I highly recommend that you play with this way. If you guys watch my building, like ranking videos, you'll hear me talk about their needs, and I'm pretty spot on simply because I kind of have them memorized. I really don't even need these open at this point, really, other than for their luxury buildings, or services, I should say. So this is like housing. They get a +3. They get a +3 from housing. If you give their special housing, which I recommend that you do, it's another +3, so it's a +6 for housing. Porridge makes them happy. Biscuits make them happy. And pies make them happy for humans, and clothing. So normally my recommendation is get the food, clothing, and housing first, and then worry about services if you can. Services tend to provide more of a bonus, but they're much harder to do generally. And then you can do the same thing for your foxes. You can look through all their stuff. The symbol on the left of your house icon, the basic house icon here, it says 777. That means you have 7 population, 7 builders, which means they're not on a specific task, and then 7 homeless. So, for example, if I put 3 humans on the main warehouse, which we're going to do really quick, it takes them away from the builders, which makes only 4 builders. We're not going to do that, obviously. We want them free. We don't want haulers. Haulers are not very good, by the way, just saying. They're good if you have a lot of extra people. But that's pretty much your species. So you want to make sure that you never really have homeless, especially once you're past rank 1, I want to say it is, of hostility, because you'll start to have issues. That's pretty much all I'm going to get into there. So the next thing to talk about is your goods. So you can do the same thing here, like I have food. I can click on it, and it will show me what I have. I have 42 eggs and 28 meat. If I click on the building materials, I have 28 parts, 7 planks, 14 pipes, 21 bricks, and 7 fabric, and 6 wildfire essence. Crafting, I have 28 leather, I have 28 amber, I have 14 wood currently, and 28 coal. The next part here is you have pause, which is space also, just so you guys know, but you can actually click it around the circle here. You also have a play button. You have a 1.5 times the speed, 2 times the speed, 3 times the speed. You can take away all your wood cutters from cutting. That's to reduce hostility. That's why it's there. Generally during the storm, if you get too much hostility too quick and you're unable to manage it, the best thing to do is remove wood cutters, because that will control the hostility so you don't start losing people. Next to that, you have your positive during the drizzle season bonus, which mine is every trade route you complete will give me 5 random packs of goods. So I want my trades to end during the drizzle season if possible. You have looming darkness, which is always your negative during the storm, and then you get 4 random ones, which mine are faint flame in this game. That's not a big deal. This one sucks. So once I hit tier 3, I'm in bad place. That one's bad too. This is all bad. I can't hit. If I hit hostility 3 or higher, I probably lose. Wow, that's horrible too. These are all bad. These are all really bad ones. I should never hit. I don't really hit 4 unless I'm playing the final map. But these are not good ones to get. You should always look at these just to see what they are and how when they turn on. They'll tell you like active from hostility 2. That's when this red bar goes to, and it says 2 up here next to the eyeball. I recommend that you try to never get past 3. Really, you should be hopefully done by the time you're around 2 or 3, but 4 is really bad. So from there we go over here. I'm not far enough into the game, but so at about 3 minutes you get your first cornerstone, which will pop up in the upper right corner next to the trade routes, recipes, consumption, and menu. And then I think it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, you get your orders for the first time, which are important for getting a resolve and getting special bonuses that kind of help you. So that's really all you need to know. They're not here yet. They pop up randomly. You also get newcomers at the end. Normally at the end of every storm, you can speed this up throughout the game to get it during the storm or even maybe at the end of clearance. Sorry, I'm putting my cursor in random places talking about this. But that's all you really need to know about that. Recipes panel will have orders under it, trading post, and trade routes. I haven't built the buildings yet, so I don't have access because I'm in the beginning of the game. Normally I come in here, which is consumption, which is also up there. They're all in shared tabs, so once you click on one, you can kind of go through them all. I normally turn off like food that they're not getting a bonus from, so if I do end up getting it, that the humans don't eat something that the, like skewers. I don't want the humans eating the skewers because I want the foxes to eat the skewers if they get a bonus. So I always go through and do that. For some odd reason, they automatically do that for services. So I don't really understand that one, but hey, it is what it is. So that's all you really need to know up there. I do recommend you turn consumption off. Oh, and another tip for consumption, actually, while we're sitting here. If you have a certain food, like maybe I need meat for jerky, sometimes it's good to turn off meat, so that meat can only be used in jerky once you have enough food sources that if you can't make complex foods, they at least have something to eat. But you don't want them to eat your meat in that case, you know what I'm saying? So that's good to know. That's like a pro tip right there. We're going to go to the bottom left now. Trying to keep this as organized as possible. I actually should have turned my cursor on for this. So I'm in a map where I have levitating monuments, which means I can just move my buildings around for free. Normally they charge you to move your buildings if they don't have the move selection button. Villagers have a chance of producing double 3% more for each hostility. That's good, but it isn't also because it requires hostility. I also have hostility because I have the fox on here. He lowers hostility by 4 for each glade. We also had the bonus world map modifier for increased fertile soil around the map, so I should have a lot more of it. And then each type has a different resource on it. So if you scroll over the tree and just let it sit, it'll tell you what these trees drop. I think the red ones drop meat. No, they drop incense. One of them drops meat. The mussel sprout does, this one. The shell looking one. So anyways, that's that. We get over here. This is your building. Choose a new building selection. At the beginning of the game you get 3. So I click here. I already have a building from my embarkation bonus. I'd probably either go with the ranch here or the kiln. Once you select one, it will load up 4 more randomly generated ones. And you go again, you go again, you go again. Until you run out. Then you have to look at the resolve bar. Or your reputation bar. All those things I was talking about in the upper left when you talk about the species like humans and foxes and all what they like affect this bar. So if you have a high resolve, as it says right there, you gain momentum on this bar. Like it will start going up. So you do want high resolve, more or less as quick as you possibly can for a sense. Every time you hit one of these little notches down here, it gives you a new blueprint. Every one of these blue little we'll call them crystals. I want to say it's a trapezoid, but I feel like that's wrong now. I haven't taken geometry in years, guys. But you get a new building there, a new building here, a new building here, a new building here, a new building. Then there's a gap, new building, a gap, new building, a gap, new building, and then you kind of, at that point, you should be set up enough where the last three, you're either getting through orders or you're getting through high resolve, which is good to know. These are your paths. These will increase your speed. You should always build a dirt path that's free for other than time, and it just gives you a movement speed. Paved roads are good if you have just an abundance of stone. And then you have reinforced roads, which, if you're not using your copper, isn't a bad investment. I should probably use these more because I tend to not go... I don't like to use copper, just because you have to melt it down, make it into a bar, and then use the bar to make something else. It can get very time-consuming for very little resolve reward, which is what wins you the game. For camps, you have your camps here. When you come into the game, you should click, like, if I see stone, I know it's the Stonecutters camp. So if I click on the Stonecutters camp, what it does is it highlights the stone right here. If I take it away, it goes away, it just shows the stone. So if you're not sure what building, just click on it, right? Nothing lighted up. So that means I don't have any of those resources. Small Forgers camp, I do, which I already have under construction, so I'm not making one, but it tells you, so you know what you want in the beginning. Normally you want 2 Woodcutters camp, and then either it's normally a Harvester's camp or a Stonecutters camp, and then one of the 3 food camps you'll usually get, if not another. Under here is your farm fields, in your plantations, herb gardens, small farm, all that, and then your food production buildings. This is a very important tab right here. This is your housing. So right now I need human housing, and I need eventually fox housing. Over here I need... This is like your production, so if I get any buildings that produce like planks, fabric, or... oh my god, bricks, they're going to end up in this industry building usually. Sometimes they might have some food in them, and they may end up in the food production, so you got to kind of look. These are your 2 main, food production and industry are your 2 main, like when you unlock blueprints, that's where they'll usually end up. City buildings, it's your trading post, which you should build as soon as you can. Actually, I don't think I put my trading post down yet. No, I did not. So you always want to kind of have that towards... I usually put that at the end of my things. You want to have your food up and going first. Normally it goes food, your stone or your fabric production stuff. Actually, sorry about that, guys. It's woodcutters first, then your food, then any of the extra buildings for production, and then I usually do my trading post, then I do my roads. The small warehouse is also here, and that's good to know. Your blight post is here for higher games, although I recommend not using rainwater unless you have to. I feel like the penalty is extremely high, and they really should probably do something about that in the updates. They need to reduce the penalty, I think. You're probably going to need at least 2 to 3 hearths per game, so you'll probably be building at least 1, if not 2. Normally if you're building 2, you need to be close to the end of the game because you're probably in a bad spot. Or 3, I mean. Sorry, if you're building your 3rd one, you're probably in a bad spot. Small warehouses are good against, like, I have a herb garden here. Even though this is not super far away, I'll probably end up building a small warehouse, like, right here, so that they can just drop their food right in the warehouse when they're done. It just makes the production way faster on farms. And then you have your decorations, which are super important for leveling up your hearth. So we're going to skip there real quick, and I'm just going to show you guys that. I normally turn off coal, I turn off that, and I turn off oil until I usually do use oil if I get the production, but I usually just use trees. You need decorations to level up your hearth. Leveling up your hearth to level 1 gives you 2 resolve, which is super good. Early on, it can help you once you hit tier 1 hostility. It'll pretty much normal if you have at least that. They'll buy you some time until you start getting your complex foods up and stuff. Level 2 is pretty easy to obtain as well, and that gives you 10% global production, which is extremely good. And then you have level 3, which gives you 10% higher, producing 2 times the stuff. So that's really good as well, but it is far harder to obtain than the other two. Getting 1 pretty quick is usually recommended. You can also sacrifice here, which when you're in, generally when you're in the storm, you can actually click this. But I would never use this. Normally during the storm you turn this on if you need it. It will reduce your hostility by a certain amount depending on what the resource is. And you can also increase your global production and glade event work speed. So those are both good as well. I barely use these two. I normally just use wood if I need to, if I, for some odd reason, am having a hostility control problem. It very rarely happens to me, though. This is to cut trees. You can mark the trees where you want to go. So my 2 lumber camps are going to be here. I want them to cut in here and get me more fertile fields. I can also take those away. Just by doing this, you kind of left-click and drag, and it will take away the trees. If you want to destroy a building, or sometimes you can destroy deposits, like I can click here. It'll ask me if I want to get rid of it, and I will say no because I want those. You can destroy those things. So this is really good to know for deposits as well, because a lot of people don't know that. You can remove deposits with this, which is really efficient when you're base building sometimes. Like, you may not need all this. You might get to a point where you have enough farms, or you have something else going on where you can get rid of this because you need that spot. That's totally acceptable and viable thing to do. So, anyways, underneath these axes and this destruction button here, we have impatience. Impatience helps with hostility. It's very bad. If this runs out, so it's good. I shouldn't say it's bad. It's very good and bad. This is a very gray thing, as I like gray things in the world. When this hits the maximum, you get to the very end of this bar, you lose. Unless you're late game enough, which you're probably not watching this video in that case, you have different things in your tech tree that will extend the duration that gets you time to reduce it. So essentially it will restart the timer. But once you hit the end, you die if you don't have that. Normally, you do want this pretty high in the beginning, and you want your resolve pretty low, because it lowers hostility by -15 for each full bar of Queen's Impatience. So normally in the beginning of the game, I like to have at least 1 or 2. I think it's 1 by the first storm, and then maybe it's 1.5 or something. But I don't like slowing my impatience down. Humans do give you the ability to do it on the hearth, which is good to know if you ever need to do that. But I've seen very rare occasions where that's necessary. And then you have your Blight Rot here, which you can click on that and it'll show you the buildings to help you fight it. As I said, I try to not use water other than pumping it for my storage, unless I have to for production reasons, for food. Sometimes complex foods do need it. But normally I just build another building and I put another person on it, because it tends to be easier to do that. Anyways, that's majority of like your icons and stuff, your basic understanding. So let's just quickly go over the map. So to the left of me, I have a dangerous glade. These tend to be a little bit higher than your small glades. Small glades tend to not be dangerous, but the issue is they have like no resources. These tend to have more resources, more value. And then you have, I'm trying to find a Forsaken for you guys. Then you have Forbidden glades, which will usually have a good amount of treasure, but are extremely hard to deal with. I'll be honest with you guys, when I play, unless I am on the finale map and it tells me I have to open a Forbidden glade, I don't open Forbidden glades. I've never run into an issue where I need one. Normally, I focus on dangerous glades, and I recommend opening a small glade if it has fertile fields and you need fertile fields. like I have fertile fields in my spawn in this map, but I also have one here. So the first thing I'm going to cut into is fertile fields, get another fertile field set up, because that guarantees I have 2 things of food coming to me. And then I'll probably go here. I'll either go here, or I'll go to the left, or I'll go to the right, upper right. Each one of those is a viable thing. And normally I pop 2 to 3. How many glades do I open per game? I'd say about 5 to 6 glades. Depends on what size they are and what I need. But normally you do want to focus on dangerous. Only open small if you think that they have fertile fields or have the marker that they have fertile fields. Trying to think if I missed anything. I think that's about it. So that should help any new players out. But definitely make use, once you get the small warehouse, put that next to your gardens and stuff, you know, leave space for that. Make sure people have good egress to your hearth, because that's very important. You want them to get to and from the hearth quickly. And make sure they have good egress to your main warehouse as well. Another big tip I can give you guys, and I'm just going to use this building because I didn't pick my buildings yet. Whenever you're doing production buildings where you have people going to your warehouse, grabbing items to the warehouse, bringing it to a building, and then making stuff, put them as close. Put the ones that are most important to you as close to your warehouse as you possibly can. Because what that does is it helps your people get the items, get right back, and get to work, which lowers the production time in between. So those are my recommendations. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, subscribe if you do. This is Mystic Games, and have a great day, guys. Later.